going to do today is take a look at a Bon Jovi riff. It's called You Give Love a Bad Name. It's the main riff in there. And this is all focused around eighth notes. So let me bring the camera down and let's take a little closer look at it. Okay, so first of all, these notes are all eighth notes, except for the very last one. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and make sure your foot's going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it's only the very last note where you're playing a quarter note. So here's that riff just to start off. You may have noticed I'm doing it instead of going around and curve my finger, I'm doing this, flattening my hand out, my finger out, and I'm doing a thing called a string roll. I'm rolling from the A string, this note right here, place this nice and flat. We're going to talk about this in a second. And I'm doing a string roll. I'm rolling from that note off onto the E string. If I don't do that and I just use my tips, it's going to sound like this. Here, it's a bit more choppier. So first off, let's take a look at the notes that you'll be playing, and then we'll go back to that string roll part. So we're going to start out with is our note right here on the 4th fret on the A string. And then we're going to move to our 4th fret on E string. And then we're going to go to our 2nd fret on the A string. Back to the 4th fret on the A string again. There's the first 4 notes. It's actually 3 in total, but I'm playing this note twice. And once we cover the string roll, we'll be applying that. So it's 4, 4, 2, 4. Then we're going to go over here onto the D string, the 2nd fret, and play 2 notes there. And then we're going to go over to our 4th fret on the A string, and then our 2nd fret on the A string. So second half of that is D string, 2, 2, 2, 2, 4 on the A string, 2 on the A string, 2, 2, 4, 2, 2, 2, 4, 2. And then we have, let's put it together, 4, 4, 2, 4, 2, 2, 4, 2, 4, 4, 2, 4, 2, 2, 4, 2. So there's all of your notes for that first half. Second half is really easy. We'll talk about that in a second. It's basically the same thing as the first, as this section, but we're just leaving out one note. But let's talk about the string roll. So here's our string roll. A lot more smoother sounding. So how we do this is first you can go ahead and fret the note here on your E string like normal. Then what you do is you lay your finger down on the A string. Normally you wouldn't be doing that when you're playing stuff, but the string roll, we want to do that. So now it's like, I'm going to press down on it. It's basically right here. That part of your finger is laying on the A string. So again, fret your note on E string like normal, and then lay your finger down on the A string. So it's laying flat, then you can roll back over to your note on the E string. Another thing you could do too is you could take your finger and kind of like set it. You have your E and A string. Kind of set your finger nicely right between them. and you can lay it down. Basically does the same thing, but the real foolproof way of doing it is fret that note on the E string, then lay it down on the A string. They'll show you exactly where you need to put your finger. And just practice that for a bit. This is going to take a little bit to get used to. You're going to keep wanting to lift up and make it choppy sound, but it should sound nice and smooth. And then you practice your riff once you get that down pretty good. Now, you got to be careful. When you come back to the end, you got this. You got to repeat again. Make sure you come down that same way. You want that flat. You don't want to come to that note again and then using your tip, because then it's going to go back to sounding choppy. Let me show you that. If I go over there and I use my fingertip here, then I'm going to have to lift it up and move it over to that note to start the second time through. So when you come back at the end, you got to go and lay that right back in the same position, nice and flat, so you can go back to that that string roll. And even in the note in the middle, even though I'm not doing a string roll, I'm still kind of keeping that same positioning. I'm not so worried about getting this perfect, where it's going to be close enough to where it's going to switch over, but I keep that same positioning, so I'm not going to be, getting it confused where sometimes I'm doing it on my fingertips, sometimes I'm doing it with it laying down. So watch it. I'm going to do it really slow and just check it out. See how I'm doing? Flat. Even there, I'm flat. So the whole time I'm keeping that finger flat. I want to keep that consistent. So that's it with the finger roll. Again, for a little bit in the beginning, go ahead and practice that. Get that down. It might take you a little bit to get that down. So now the last half, you may already figure it out. It's basically the same thing as the first half, except for I'm just leaving out a note. So here's the first half. I end off in that note. Watch the second half. I'm going ahead and playing the same exact thing, but I'm stopping just short of playing this note. And it starts all over again. So, yeah. So just kind of work on that and get that down pretty good by its on its own without any backing tracks or anything. And then later on, you're going to add in some backing tracks to it, so you'll start getting used to the rhythm. You'll be able to start building everything up. Okay, so there you go. So as I said earlier, this is focused mainly around eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So make sure you have that foot going constantly. At first, like with all the rest of the riffs, if you got to go and just work out the riff not without worrying about your foot, then perfectly fine. Don't worry about that. Work on that, get everything all set, get the mechanics down, and then as you start to feel more comfortable, bring your foot in. And then finally, grab the backing track, go to a real slow speed, and start playing along with the backing track, really focusing on accuracy. As you do well with that, you start building up the speed. And so that's basically what that's all about. Aside from the eighth notes, the main thing to keep in mind is the string roll. Really focus on nailing that. That might trip you up for a little bit. So again, if you have problems doing that with the backing track, then just back off from that for a bit. Get that technique on its own without worrying about the rhythm or anything. Get it as close as you can, but you don't have to play along with the backing track at first. Get that technique down, because you will see it here and there within other songs. So now is the time to really work on it. So work on that stuff. If you have any problems or anything, then let me know. You can go ahead and post a comment, get a hold of me, and we'll get you all sorted out. So that's it. We will see you in the next video.